Hello viewers, and welcome to Into the Pit, which is going to be the first scenario of our Khazad-dûm Deluxe Expansion and the latest entry in the LOTR LCG progression series. As per usual, this video is a production by Cardboard of the Rings, the bi-weekly podcast about the Lord of the Rings, the card game, which is a living card game by Fantasy Flight Games. And joining you as always, this is Mitch, and with me is Matthew.
Hello.
And why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about the story behind this very first scenario?
Our heroes are entering the mines of Moria at the behest of the White Council, carrying an important message to Balin. Balin had recently led a group of dwarves back into Moria to establish a colony in the ancient halls of his ancestors. However, he has not been heard from in some time.
Well, now that the stage is set, as you can see, we're using a radically different version of OCTGN for this video. We've gone ahead and already set up our quest here in front of us, so we have an active location already on the table. We have another couple locations out of play, and what this quest is going to boil down to is it's going to be a little bit of sequential location navigation prior to completing the second and third phases of the quest. So, to go ahead and kick off our first scenario of Khazad-dûm, why don't we go ahead and introduce our decks? So in this scenario, I've gone ahead and put together a deck with 2 leadership heroes and 1 spirit hero. I've of course got Theodred for a little bit of resource fixing, since I'm going to be using a dual sphere deck, and Matthew's going to be doing the same. I've got Dane Ironfoot because we're both going to be running a host of dwarf allies, and there's going to be a total of 5 dwarf heroes beginning the game on the table. I've got Faramir because this quest is demanding a lot of high willpower, especially beginning the game with a 7 progress token location in play. Things like Longbeard Orc Slayer because we're going to be up against a ton of 2 hit point enemies and cards that give, card advantage, action advantage, just to make sure that even though there aren't too many enemies in this deck, we can commit a lot of willpower, and then if we do get a big swarm of enemies, we can ready characters to deal with that. I've got some effects like, Sneak Attack to drop Gandalf into play and hit enemies in the staging area, since it's going to be a little while until we can engage any enemies. And my point of using Dwalin over a more potent questing character like Éowyn is just because there's so many dwarf damage attachments and events in Matthew's deck. If it just so happens that I get, say, a Goblin Follower, on my side of the table, I'm going to be able to easily deal with that. But Matthew, what are you going to be running in this scenario?
So my deck for this quest is running 2 tactics heroes, Gimli and Thalin, and then Bifur from the Lore Sphere. Not too much to say about my deck, I don't think. It's just a hodgepodge of various allies, all with as many dwarves as I could cram in here, with various effects from the other allies. The typical sort of, I think, attachments you've come to know and love in my decks: Horn of Gondor, Citadel Plate, though the new Dwarrel Delph Axe is making an appearance over the Dwarven Axe, and then finally a few events, Khazad to take advantage of the new Dwarf synergy, as well as Secret Paths just to help us quest all the more quickly so we can barrel on through.
Alright, so with that said, why don't we go ahead and shuffle our decks and go ahead and draw our opening hand of 6 cards. And it looks like my hand is pretty much perfect. I've got some resource acceleration, some action advantage in the form of a popular spirit attachment, as well as a very, very clutch cancel when revealed. So how about you?
Yeah, my hand is fine.
Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at the setup for this deck. So, Quest Phase 1A is search the encounter deck for Eastgate and Cave Torch. Put Eastgate into play as the active location, which is right in our active location slot here, and have the first player, which I've already set as myself, attach Cave Torch to a hero of his choice. Set first hall and Bridge of Khazad-dûm aside out of play, then shuffle the encounter deck. So I'll shuffle the encounter deck now. We've got the first hall and the Bridge of Khazad-dûm set aside out of play. We'll talk about those a little more once they finally come onto play, or into play on the table, but this very first location we have here is East Gate. So it's a 7 progress token location, it is immune to player card effects, and this is very unique because it prevents us from optionally engaging enemies, and we do not make engagement checks. As soon as the East Gate leaves play, then we add First Hall to the staging area. And as soon as First Hall leaves play, we add Bridge of Khazad-dûm to the staging area, and as soon as that's gone, as soon as we have enough progress tokens to explore Quest Phase 1B, then we can finally move on to Quest Phase 2. We've also got this cave torch currently stuck on Theodred, and the way that this works is we can exhaust it to put up to 3 progress tokens on a dark location. But whenever Cave Torch exhausts, we have to discard the top card of the encounter deck, and if that card is an enemy, add it to the staging area. Something pretty important to keep in mind is that out of the 50 cards in this encounter deck, only 15 are enemies, so it's really in our favor to use the Cave Torch as much as possible. But let's go ahead and take a look at Quest Phase 1B, and this reads, when revealed, we're going to go ahead and reveal 1 encounter card per player and add it to the staging area. So let's go ahead and see what we begin the game against. So card number 1 is going to be one of our enemies here. So this is Goblin Scout. 3 threats, and each player with a threat of 25 or higher cannot optionally engage Goblin Scout. So this is going to be sitting in the staging area, 3 threat against us. Card number 2 is Watchful Eyes. So when revealed, the first player attaches Watchful Eyes to one of his heroes, and it's a condition attachment with the text limit 1 per hero. If attached hero is exhausted at the end of the combat phase, reveal 1 card from the encounter deck and add it to the staging area. I think a pretty safe target for this is Dane Ironfoot, since he's got to be ready to benefit from his ability, so this isn't the worst setup by any means. But shall we go ahead and begin the game?
Let's do it.
So let's go ahead and start things off by adding 1 resource to each of our heroes. I'm going to go ahead and draw a card. I guess this is a little bit ridiculous. I wish I had more spirit resources. I've got 2 Dunedain Rangers in my hand, if you can guess what those might be. And I've got a resource acceleration event. Attachment. I could certainly use this for me. What kind of stuff have you got in your hand?
Well, I have my own version of resource acceleration. I've got some tactics tricks. I have a lore dwarf that would help with the Anaxi attachment you just had to put on Dane, and a few other various good things.
Okay. Well, with that said, why don't I go ahead and strip 2 leadership resources. I'm going to drop Steward of Gondor on Dwalin, and I'm going to go ahead and pay 2 resources for an Unexpected Courage. Now, would you like this on Gimli, or would you prefer it on Thalin? I'm thinking probably Gimli, but I'm going to leave it up to you. We're not against really any sort of beefy enemies in this, with the exception of Patrol Leader, which is going to take like a total of 7 to kill.
Yeah, I think putting it on Gimli is just fine.
Yeah, maybe if I get another one, I'll drop it on Thalin, but for the time being, that's all I'm going to do.
Okay. I am going to play the Horn of Gondor on Biffer.
Okay.
Just to help it. You know, if there's allies leaving play, I know there aren't a ton of enemies, so the Horn may not be going off too much this game. Certainly probably not as much as it did in the Massing at Osgiliath, but, you know, if it goes off once or twice, I suppose that helps.
Sure.
And then that is it for me.
Yeah, there are definitely plenty of treacheries which will result in characters leaving play, so why don't we go ahead and do questing? I suppose for me, I will send 3.
Okay.
And I guess I'm going to target Dwalin with Theodred's resource.
Okay. I will send everyone.
Okay.
And then I will go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and take control of Unexpected Courage, and I'll go ahead and ready Gimli.
All
So I
right.
am sending 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wow, I think that's probably the most I have ever sent.
I was gonna say I'm not used to you sending more than me, so
No. Well, I get, with all my heroes being dwarves, that's pretty handy.
definitely helps, yeah. So a total of 11. So let's see what we reveal. Card number 1 is a Fouled Well. So each player may choose and discard one card at random. If all players did not discard one card, it gains Surge. So I'm okay with discarding a card at random, but what about you?
Gosh, there's nothing in my hand that isn't good. I mean, there's one card I would be okay losing. I don't really want to lose any of the other 5.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I just know that the more
well, I mean,
cards...
there's two cards I'd be okay losing, but that's not very many out of 6. So, yeah. So I think this is one of the first times that we haven't really agreed on a location's effect, but I'm sort of wanting to let it surge.
All right. I suppose since we've got the cave torch here, we can potentially go through it without too much effort. So I guess let's go ahead and let it surge. Let's not discard cards. So,
Okay.
all right.
See how
Surge.
this goes.
Let's see what it is. Sigil Mineshaft, a 5-threat
Good
location.
grief.
Wow. All right. And then let's see. Card number 2 is going to be a Goblin Tunnels. So while it's in the staging area, it says, after a goblin is revealed from the encounter deck, remove a progress token from the current quest card. So this is a lot of threat against us. A total of 7, 10, 13. So
Yep.
we're going to be gaining 2 threats, it looks like. So why don't we go ahead and boost that up. So not fantastic, but probably not the end of the world. Again, we've already got an active location. Now that we're done with the quest phase, shall I go ahead and use Cave Torch here?
Sure.
Alright, so Cave Torch. Why don't we target that Sigil Mineshaft, since it's 3 threat, or 5 threat against us. So I'm going to go ahead and do 3 progress tokens there, since it's got dark. And let's discard a card from the encounter deck. That card is an enemy. So this gets added to the staging area. And let's see, of course there's no engagement checks, no, optional engagement, so it is just going to be hanging out there. So 2 out of our 15 enemies are already in play. There's not really anything else I can do this round. Do you have any lore cards in your hand where you could use resources thrown to Biffer?
Nope.
Okay, well, then I won't bother throwing him a resource quite yet. Shall we refresh?
Yep.
Alright, so Control R, and this new version of OCTGN adds 1 threat for us. And then why don't I go ahead and make you first player, and I'll draw a card, add resources to my heroes. And what are you going to be doing here?
I will play a veteran axe hand.
Okay.
Oh, come on, remove the there it goes. And that's all I'm gonna do.
Alright, I guess I've got a few different options here. I've got a tracker in my hand I could certainly play, but again, a big change in Khazad-dûm is the locations require so many more progress tokens. But we also have a lot of dark locations in play. I suppose I'll have to see how much threat ends up being against us. I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is I will pay 4 and put into play a Northern Tracker. Just to really work with the Cave Torch to get a ton of these locations out of play. So, I suppose that is my turn. Shall we do questing?
Sure. I will once again send everyone. So last time it was 8, this time I'm sending 9.
Okay, great. And I'm going to go ahead and send 4 this time. And again, I'm going to give Dwalin that resource. So let's see, I've sent 4, you've sent 9 for a total of 13.
Yep.
And Northern Tracker.
Yep.
We'll probably end up using this raise each player's threat by 1 to get rid of our Sigil Mineshaft, but let's see what we get. So staging card number 1 is another Goblin Scout. Alright, card number 2 is going to be Burning Low. So first of all, let me go ahead and put
Yikes.
a damage on the Goblin Scout, per Thalin's ability. And Burning Low is each enemy and location currently in the staging area gets +1 until the end of the phase, +3 if it is a dark location. Players may exhaust a cave torch to cancel this effect. We don't have a dark location, but it's, let's see, each enemy and location, so that would be a total of 6 threat it's adding. Shall we exhaust the cave torch to get rid of that effect?
Well, they're all dark locations. Or in this, right?
Oh, yes, I guess you're right, so
Right,
that would be
so
+3. Wow,
For each
yeah,
of
that's
those.
a nightmare.
Yeah. So, yeah, cave torch that away.
Alright, so exhausting cave torch, cancel Burning Low, but of course, forced effect triggers, we have to discard a card. A, which is not an enemy, so Lightless Passage is discarded with no effect. We're going to be up against 3, 6, 11, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 threats. We could totally boost our threat by 1 to get rid of Sigil Mineshaft.
How much are we raising our threat by?
Just a single point.
Well, Northern Tracker's going to take care of it next turn.
Right. Although,
So-
if we don't get the Sigil Mineshaft out of play now, we're going to end up having to raise our threat by, I think, 4.
Oh, that's what I was asking. How much we had to raise
Oh,
it.
right. Oh, yeah, sorry.
That's what I was trying to ask, is what we would have to raise it by if we
Sure.
didn't do it. Then yeah, then it is worth the 1.
All right. So let's boost our threat up, and Sigil Mineshaft is gone. So that means we're going to be up against 12. When that Goblin Scout came into play, we'd have removed a progress token from the current quest card, but there are no progress tokens on that quest card. So we're up against 6, 7, 8, 9, total of 12. Looks like we're going to end up making 1 quest progress.
All right.
All right, not too bad. And that is it. We don't have any travel to be doing. We don't have any engagement that's possible. There's only one enemy that would at some point come down and attack us. So shall we just refresh again?
Yep.
All right, so refresh. You've made me the first player. Draw our cards, do our resources. And I suppose I'm first for planning. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and pull 2 resources off of Dwalin, and I will put an Unexpected Courage on Dane Ironfoot. And that's all for me this round. How about yourself?
Okay, so I am going to play Gandalf.
I am Gandalf, and Gandalf means me.
Okay, and what are you going to be doing with his ability?
And I will kill the Goblin Scout without any damage.
Alright, so Goblin Scout is going to be destroyed.
Yeah, and my thought there is just to get some of the threat out of the staging area.
Sure, it was definitely climbing pretty quickly, so anything else from you this turn?
Nope, that is it.
Alright, so questing. I'm going to go ahead and commit all of my characters, and then I'm going to use Unexpected Courage to ready Dane, and that's going to be a total of 3, 4, 5, 6 from me.
And I'll send 13.
Alright, and I'll have Northern Tracker trigger on both of those locations. So we're going to be sending a total of 19, looks like. Keep in mind, as soon as we burst down the east gate, all of a sudden enemies can engage us. But the only one that's going to be doing that is this Goblin Swordsman. Because until we hit 37 threat, these Goblin Scout are going to stay in the staging area. But anyway, let's go ahead and do staging card number 1, which is Cave-In. So when revealed, remove all progress tokens from the current quest card and active location. If it removed no progress tokens, it gains Surge. Shall we let this remove 1 progress token and not Surge?
Yeah, I don't think that's too bad.
All right, sounds reasonable. So let me go ahead and remove that progress. I almost feel bad for getting that one. And card number 2 is a Crumbling Ruin. So each player must exhaust a character and discard the top card of his deck, if able. So, shall I cancel this, as opposed to risking losing a hero for both of us?
Oh, well, I mean, we're not going to... How many 5-cost cards do we have in our deck?
So, I know I've got
I mean,
Gandalf's.
but I mean, I suppose we could get Gandalf's, which would be bad, and of course that would mean Dane's exhausted, so your watchful eyes would go off.
Right. Right.
Yeah, you know, I think the chances of getting a Gandalf are low, but if it did happen, that would suck. So yeah, if you want to cancel it, that's just fine.
All right. So I guess better safe than sorry.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and use a Test of Will to get rid of that Crumbling Ruin. Not sure how many more of those are in the encounter deck, but that makes our staging. So we're going to be up against 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I could use Cave Torch to go ahead and put 3 progress tokens on this fouled well and eliminate it from play. And unless we pull an enemy, it's just going to be discarding the card.
Yeah, that's fine.
Alright, so Cave Torch is going to go ahead and put those progress tokens on there, so it's gone. And the Forced Effect reveals not an enemy, so again, no effect. And that means we're going to only be up against a total of 6 threats, and we've committed 19. So we are going to end up making 13 progress. So 7 is going to go on our our East Gate. So I'm going to go ahead and Control V, add that to our victory display with 1 victory point there, and then I'm going to go ahead and put 6 progress tokens on our active quest. So now that Eastgate has left play, we add First Hall to the staging area. So First Hall is going to be in staging, and the way that this works is each player must raise his threat by 3 to travel here, and after it leaves play, then we add the Bridge of Khazad-dûm to the staging area. So I have no desire to travel to the First Hall.
Well, yeah, it does sort of suck to raise our threat, and I guess because you have the 1 northern tracker out, that's 2 turns. And
it's quite possible that the next turn he might have company.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
just saying.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That's fine, I suppose.
Alright, and then my only question for you is, since we've only got 1 progress token left on our quest, do we want to go ahead and travel to the Goblin Tunnels? So, get it out of the staging area.
Well, we still have to get through Khazad-dûm, too, but yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so I'll use our new hotkey, Control A, to make that the active location.
The bridge, to be more specific. But
right,
yeah.
right. Le Bridge.
Mm-hmm.
And now that travel is done, we finally do engagement. So Goblin Scout is going to be hanging out in the staging area. Goblin Swordsman is going to by default engage with me. It does get +2 if its attack is undefended, so neither of us can easily kill this. I guess, do you want to engage it, or do you want me to?
No, I can take it. That way Watchful Eyes doesn't trigger.
Alright, so Goblin Swordsman is going to be on your side of the table. Something to keep in mind is I do have a Cancel Shadow Effect card, but we're not going to be able to do too much to this on this round. But...
yeah, I'll just defend it, and that's fine.
So, Combat Phase, here's its Shadow card. Right, Gimli defends. Shadow card is deal 1 damage to defending character. So I don't mind seeing Dark and Dreadful as a shadow card. So Gimli's going to end up taking 2 points of damage, 1 from attack and 1 from that shadow card.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose there's nothing that either of us can do in return, so shall we refresh?
Yep. Oh, well, Gandalf goes away, triggers the horn.
Right. And again, do you have any lore cards in your hand?
Nah. Nope.
All right. Well, I'm glad Biffer's there for resource fixing that we don't need. Yep. All right, so Control R, that boosts our threat by default. I'll make you first player. I'll draw a card. I will do my resources. And your planning is first. I will do a Campfire Tales, just to give you maybe another option.
Oh, thanks. Okay, so I am going to play a Miner of the Iron Hills.
All right.
And so you can get rid of your
Watchful Eyes.
Yeah.
All right, so Watchful Eyes is finally gone. Excellent. And anything
because
else?
Yes, only because at some point, you know, the final quest step, we cannot use our resources. Well, no, there was another ally I could play that's not going to add too much to us right now, but I'm actually going to hold off so I can play something else next turn. So I am good for the round.
Okay, well, why don't I go ahead and pay 4 resources from Dwalin for Northern Tracker the 2nd, and that's all I'm going to be doing on my turn.
Okay.
So ready for questing if you are.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and it looks like all we've got to do is make a maximum of 6 progress to get rid of, to get our last quest token and get rid of our active location.
Okay. And then we have to do the bridge. So I'll send Fallon and Biffer and Iron of the Minor of the Iron Hills.
Okay, so a total of 6 from you, and I will go ahead and send, let's see, Theodred, Dwalin, and the 2 northern trackers. So I'm going to go ahead and send a total of 5, which will make a total of 11 for us, I believe. Northern Tracker is going to go ahead and put 2 resources on our first hall, which is also going to be added to the victory display, and it's going to be replaced by this Bridge of Khazad-dûm. So, as soon as that leaves play, then we're finally going to be able to move on to our second quest phase. So, shall we go ahead and do staging?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so card number 1 is a Dreadful Gap. So we immediately have to travel to Dreadful Gap if another location is currently active, return it to the staging area, and X is the number of characters in play.
Well, good thing I didn't play another ally.
Yeah, I guess, what is this? It's currently going to be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 progress tokens required. Wishing I'd have sent more characters to the quest, but oh well.
Yeah.
Card number 2 is going to be another Watchful Eyes. First player is you.
Well, good thing I happened to draw another minor, which is why I felt safe to play the first one.
Well,
so, Gimli is fine.
Okay.
Oh, well, no, well...
I guess we're probably going to be triggering this
it's going to have to trigger. Yeah.
But it's no big deal.
Yep.
Let's see. I guess, do we want to use Cave Torch on Goblin Tunnels here after the quest phase?
Oh, Goblin Tunnels? I was going to say... Well, how much progress are we going to make on Dreadful Gap?
So, let's see here. I guess, why don't we wrap up our quest phase? So we've got 5, 6, 7, 8 threat against us. We're going to make 3 progress tokens on Dreadful Gap. So, if we go ahead and throw some progress tokens on Goblin Tunnels, the Northern Trackers will eliminate it next turn.
Yep, that sounds good.
Alright, so let's go ahead and do Cave Torch. For 3 progress tokens, let's discard a card, which is... not an enemy. Cool. Alright, so just discard it. And that's it for travel. We can't do anything. There's no engagement because, again, our threat's not high enough for Goblin Scout. I do have a threat reduction card if we end up needing it, by the way.
Okay.
So that just brings us to combat. 1 Goblin Swordsman engaged with you.
Gimli will defend.
Alright, so... Shadow card is a Branching Paths, which does nothing. And what now?
Takes damage. I will ready him with Unexpected Courage. And so Dane is ready.
Right.
So my minor has enough to kill it himself.
Right, just the
Which
axe
I wasn't
hand.
Even... that's what I meant, sorry.
Right. He can take care of it. So Goblin Swordsman is going to be killed. Watchful Eyes does not trigger.
Have to trigger after all.
And once again, could you use a lore resource?
Nope, I'll be fine.
Alright.
I only have 1 lore card in my hand, so that's the issue.
Alright, so why don't we go ahead and refresh, and if you'd make me first player, do our resources...
Now I get another lore.
And I ended up drawing a card that'll allow us a giant questing boost. So if we want, I can give all of our dwarves +2 willpower until the end of the phase.
Okay.
So we'll have to see how much progress we need, and maybe we'll save this for another questing phase. We'll have to see. But alright. So, for my planning, I'm gonna, once again, hold off on playing anything. How about you?
I'm gonna play a Citadel Plate on Gimli.
Great.
Well, before I do that, just because I'm OCD with how they're organized, I'm also going to do another minor of the Iron Hills.
Alright, so Watchful Eyes is gone.
Yeah. And then the Citadel Plate will just go where it went.
Excellent.
And so... if we need to negate the threat of a location for any reason, Biffer would need a resource. Otherwise, I I'm good without.
Sure, and
resources.
the cool thing about that is since it's an action, we can just wait until we see if we pull a resource. I don't remember if I did Thalin's resource last turn, but no big deal. Why don't we...
Theodrids?
Yes, sorry, Theodrid. So why don't we do questing? I'm going to go ahead and commit all of my characters and ready Dane with Unexpected Courage. I'll throw the resource to Dwalin. And that's a total of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 from me.
I will also send 7.
Goblin Tunnels is going to be explored. So we're going to have a total of 14. And I'll put 2 tokens on the Bridge of Khazad-dûm here. So let's see what we get for staging. Card number 1 is going to be Stairs of Nain. So the first player must exhaust 1 character he controls to travel here. Not a big deal, but it's not a dark location. Card number 2 is a Goblin Follower, and this is going to be engaging with you per its win revealed.
Yep.
So, really not a big deal since you've got Gimli sitting there like a tank. And that is our staging, so we're going to be up against a total of 6. We're going to go ahead and make 8 progress, which will be exactly enough. Well, actually, you played another ally. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's going to be enough to explore the Dreadful Gap. So I think next turn we'll end up finishing the Bridge of Khazad-dûm, and we'll also have enough progress to clear our first quest phase. So shall we just go ahead and allow that to happen?
Yep.
All right. So
I don't think we have any choice, but yes.
Well, I guess I could have boosted our willpower by a lot, but it wouldn't have.
Need to.
Yeah, it wouldn't.
I think we'll want to do that when we can't collect resources.
So, Dreadful Gap is another victory point location, so it's gone, and we've currently got 5 victory points, looks like. So, we have travel. We could go to the Stairs of Nain, and I would just exhaust Dane Ironfoot to do that. Gimli is certainly... Well, actually, he'd only be swinging for 5, but then the Veteran Axe Hand would be able to do it. I guess should I exhaust Dane so we can travel here? You're going to have more than enough attack to kill Goblin Follower.
Yeah, that's fine.
Alright, so I'll exhaust Dane. Stairs of Nain is now active location, and for combat, Goblin Follower's shadow card is right here. What do you want to do?
I'll have Gimli defend.
Alright, so Gimli defends, and... This is gone. Great. So he's only going to take 1 damage. And how do you want to deal with the Goblin Follower?
Gimli's enough to kill him.
So Gimli swings for 6, and Goblin Follower is killed. Excellent. I've been saving some orcs in my hand. Hopefully, during this next quest phase, they're going to end up doing something, but we'll have to see.
Okay.
Alright, so shall we, I guess, refresh? Alright, so refresh. Your first player. Draw a card. Do resources. And what are you going to do for planning?
I will play another Veteran Axe Hand.
Okay, cool. Tons of attack power on the table from you. And why don't I, assuming you're done, I'll use 2 leadership for a Calabrian Stone on Theodrid. So all of his restricted attachment slots are now taken up, and that's all I'm going to do.
Okay.
Alright, so questing. What can we see from you? I guess our goal here is to make at least 5 progress, and we're going to be up against 3.
Oh, well, alright, then I won't send the Axe Hand. I'll just send 7 again.
Yep, so once we pass through this quest phase, we're going to have to search through the encounter deck for some enemies.
You know what we didn't do last turn, just to interrupt you, is we didn't put Thalin's damage on the whatever enemy I just killed. Not that it was needed, but we did sort of miss that.
Damn. So much for error-free video. So something to keep in mind is we definitely want to keep some characters ready, because as soon as we reveal the second quest phase, we have to search through the deck and discard pile for a couple different enemies and put them into play. So we're going to have to do some defending, and we're going to have to do some attacking. But I guess who are you going to be sending here?
The people I've exhausted.
All right, so a total of 7 from you. I'm going to go ahead and do the 2 trackers. I'll do Theodred, and let's see, you've sent 7. I'll make it 12. I suppose I'll also send Dwalin for good measure. So I'll do a total of 14. So
Well, we're only up against 3 in the staging area.
Right. Yeah.
Because the trackers are going to take care of the bridge.
Right. I guess I'll hold Dwalin back. Maybe I'll actually
Yeah.
get to kill something. Who knows?
Yeah.
Why don't I put 2 progress tokens on Bridge of Khazad-dûm? So I will go ahead and add that to our victory display. We've now got a total of 7 victory points. And why don't we go ahead and see what we reveal? So card number 1 for staging is a branching path. So while it's in the staging area, each dark location gets +1 threat. Itself, it's a dark location. And card number 2 is another branching path. So each of these are going to be giving all dark locations +1. So they're going to be a total of 3 each. And once they leave play, then we have to look at the top 3 cards of the encounter deck, pick one to add and reveal to the staging area, and then get rid of the other 2. So they kind of irritatingly replace themselves. So we're going to be up against a total of 9 threats. I guess we've committed a total of 12. So we're only going to be making 3 progress unless...
Well, you could cave torch one of the branching paths.
Right, and I could also use this Untroubled by Darkness, but I think I definitely want to cave torch branching paths.
I could do a secret paths as well. So.
Okay. Well, let's see what we end up with here. So we've got 12 committed, and why don't I go ahead and use cave torch first of all. So cave torch is going to get rid of 1 branching paths. So let's go ahead and discard a card for the forced effect of Cave Torch, which is not an enemy. And now, branching paths, we've got to look at the top 3 cards of the encounter deck, pick 1 to reveal, and ditch... Well, let's see here. Oh, they're all so nasty. And then
Well, we have to deal with the patrol leader anyway, but how many of him are in the deck would we have to deal with 2 of them?
So there are a total of 2 of them. Wow. It's, what is it here? So Quest Phase 2 is each player has to search. 1 has to be a patrol leader, so he's kind of a pain. Right. I think Goblin Tunnels is probably the most innocent one.
Yep.
Okay, so let's go ahead and do Goblin Tunnels, and the other 2 are going to be added to the bottom of the encounter deck. So let's see. I think now okay, so we've got a total of 2, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're going to make 4 progress. We are only going to be able to get rid of our active location unless you use your secret paths. And it looks like
rush. I mean, I mean, 1 more round. I mean, I'm sure we'll clear it.
Yeah, it's. I guess we could just wait another round, but
we could travel to branching paths or something.
Okay, well, shall we just wait then?
Sure, yeah, I don't see why not.
So, again, evidence that neither Matthew or myself really cares about score. So let's go ahead and just settle with the 8 threat. So we'll go ahead and make 4 progress. Stairs of Nain is gone. And, let's see, shall we, I guess, travel to branching paths? Or I guess we just can auto-explore it next turn. Or, I mean, torch it away.
Yeah, we could. We could go to Goblin Tunnels too. It sort of sucks.
Yeah. All right. Let's do the tunnels, I suppose. So next turn we'll just quest a little bit harder, or I can just use that event if we have to. So, all right. Well, with that said, there's no engagement possible. My threat is 1 shy of being able to take that Goblin Scout. So, I guess shall we just refresh?
Sure.
All right. So refresh. I'll be first player. And I'll draw a card.
Well, we can't take the scout because he would come down.
Right, he would auto engage.
You can't.
Yeah. All right. So just click my first player button, please. All right. Thank you very much. And for my turn, I suppose. Well, my threat is very high, which is kind of silly to be using this, but I'm going to go ahead and use Galadrim's Greeting on you to drop your threat to 30. And that's all I'm going to do this turn.
Okay, I will play another Veteran Accent.
Okay. Alright, so shall we move on to questing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and something to keep in mind is now I've got so many leadership resources, any enemies in play, next turn I can do a back-to-back Longbeard Orc Slayer and kill any orcs in play with the exception of followers and the patrol leader. So I think in the interest of just leaving a lot of defenders open, since now I'm the one with really high threat, just on the off case that we draw a lot of enemies, I'm just going to go ahead and send 3 characters to the quest for a total of 6. And that's only going to be 1 northern tracker triggering on branching paths. Hopefully we'll be able to blow through this location. I've got an event that'll give dwarves plus to willpower if we need it. So what are you going to commit to the quest?
I'm going to send a total of 8 characters to the quest.
Okay.
Or 8 willpower, I mean.
Alright, and that's going to make a total of 14. Let's see what we get for enemies. So, encounter card number 1. Oh crap. Dark and Dreadful. 1 damage to each exhausted character. 2 damage instead if the active location is a dark location. Which it is, of course. And this is going to kill a lot of dwarves. So I guess it's good that you've got Horn of Gondor in play, but that's going to be 2 damage to Theodred.
I guess your 8 spirit resources aren't going to be used to cancel anything.
Unfortunately not, no. So it looks like we're going to end up committing a little bit less willpower to the quest.
Yep, so it triggers 3 times.
Ouch.
We better not get another one because I lose 2 heroes.
Well, I think the other one was a shadow card for Gimli. So let's see what our next card is. Which is Doomed 2 and Surge. So boost our threat up by 2, and this is going to replace itself. And the new card is Doom 2 and Surge. So I'm at 41 threat. And our final card is another Doom 2 and Surge. Dear Lord. Alright, so I'm at 43. To a Goblin Swordsman. Good God. Alright, so it looks like we're going to be up against a total of 5, 6. Let's see, what was your total willpower committed?
I've already adjusted it, so I'm at 5.
5, so 11. We're only going to make 5 progress. I could use my event here and let us go to the next quest phase. All we've really got to do... I think I should do it, because all we've got to do is just survive a little bit of a goblin attack, and then we can definitely kill all of them on my turn. I've got plenty of resources to do that.
Okay. So
why don't I go ahead and pay 2 resources for Untroubled by Darkness, and because our active location is both underground and dark, dwarves get +2 willpower, so that's going to be a total of 3 characters. It's going to add 6 to our total, so we're going to be 17 versus 6. So we're going to do 11 points. So 7 for Goblin Tunnels. That's going to end up being 4 for our active quest here. So we move to quest phase 2B. So when revealed, each player must search the encounter deck and discard pile for 1 enemy of his choice and add it to the staging area. And 1 choice has to be patrol leader if able. So why don't I go ahead and look at the encounter deck and find the most inoffensive enemies that I can. So I guess Goblin Scout is pretty wimpy, so I'll pick one of those as mine, and I'll just go ahead and make that patrol leader, since we have to make that your choice. So, taking a look at the encounter deck here, we do have that Sudden Pitfall left, but other than that, it's nothing too nasty. So close and shuffle the encounter deck, and from now on, any enemies that are revealed from the encounter deck have to be discarded instead of added to the staging area. So I suppose something to keep in mind is for our Cave Torch now, it's basically no matter what, we just discard the card. Because if it's, revealed from the encounter deck, it's discarded. So should I use Cave Torch to get rid of branching paths?
Sure.
Alright, so I'll exhaust that, put 4 tokens on branching paths. Let's go ahead and discard a card for Cave Torch. And it is an enemy, but per Quest Phase 2, because it's revealed from the encounter deck, it's discarded. So discard that, and then we've got to go ahead and take a look at the top 3 encounter cards, pick one to put into play, and, well, let me look at the phrasing here. So again, players must choose one of those to reveal and add to the staging area, moving the other 2 to the bottom of the encounter deck. And again, why don't we go ahead and pick the patrol leader, supposing that, again, because it's revealed from the encounter deck, it's just going to be discarded. So I suppose we could be doing this wrong, but following that golden rule where cards override one another and whatnot, I think this is the appropriate way to do it. So patrol leader is going to be discarded, and Sudden Pitfall and Cave-In are going to be moved to the bottom of the encounter deck. There are only 17 cards left in the encounter deck, but at least we know that Sudden Pitfall is at the bottom. So I guess at this point, as soon as there are no enemies in play, we advance to the next phase of the quest, but we've got quite a few enemies here. So keep in mind, on my turn, all the enemies except for Patrol Leader are going to automatically be killed. So let's go ahead and skip travel and do engagement. So do you want to optionally engage Patrol Leader?
Yeah, taking the patrol leader is fine.
Alright, so patrol leader comes down to you for engagement check. Goblin Scout will come to me. Then we'll do a check for you. Looks like Goblin Swordsman goes down to you. And for me, the Goblin Scout will come down to me. So let me go ahead and do shadow cards here. And we're working ever closer to that Sudden Pitfall. So I'm going to go ahead and exhaust Dane Ironfoot against the first Goblin Scout. And let's see what the shadow card is. It's going to be defending... Oh, I knew this was going to happen somehow. Something told me to not ready Dane yet. But anyway, I have to choose and exhaust one character I control. I'll just exhaust the Northern Tracker. So Dane takes no damage. The second Goblin Scout I'll also defend with Dane. And its shadow card is nothing, so Dane again takes no damage. Alright, so how do you want to deal with your enemies here?
Alright, so I'm going to have one of my veteran axe hands defend the patrol leader.
Okay. Alright, so let's see. The shadow card is nothing, so the veteran axe hand is going to be killed, triggering your horn.
Yep.
And Goblin Swordsman.
That little goblin thing's still on the bottom. Or is that gone?
I guess I must have missed the discard pile at one point, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. So Goblin Swordsman.
Alright, I'm going to have Gimli do it.
Okay. Alright, so let's see what we get. And it's going to be add Goblin Swordsman to the staging area. That doesn't make a difference, because on my turn, all of those are going to go away, so no big deal. Okay. I guess Gimli takes a point of damage.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you want to deal with these guys?
Gimli will kill the patrol leader.
Alright, so Gimli swings at the patrol leader, and its forced effect is before it's dealt damage, discard the top card of the encounter deck. If the discarded card is an enemy, cancel that damage. Let's see how it goes. Card is... Hey, not an enemy. Awesome. So Gimli swings for a total of 7. Patrol leader is killed outright.
And I really wish that Dane was ready, so the veteran axe hand could kill my dude, but whatever.
Alright.
Veteran axe hand will attack for
1.
2.
Or yeah, anyway, deal 1 damage. Anyway, not a big deal, because on my turn, all these guys are going to be leaving play. Alright, so why don't we go ahead and refresh all of our cards. I'll make you first player. I'll go ahead and draw a card. I'll do my resources. And what are you going to be doing for planning?
Gosh, I'm not drawing any lore cards whatsoever, and I could really use some tactics resources. I'm going to play a Vassal of the Limlord.
Alright.
And that's it.
And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and spend a total of 8 resources for 2 Longbeard Orc Slayers. And this is going to end up doing a total of 2 damage to all orcs in play. So this Goblin Swordsman is killed. Both Goblin Scouts are killed. And the Goblin Swordsman in the staging area is also killed. And it looks like The board is clear of enemies. So, taking a look at our quest card here, this says, if there are no enemies in play, immediately advance to the next stage of the scenario, which brings us to quest phase 3A and 3B. So heroes do not collect resources during the resource phase, and if we defeat this stage, we win the game. So long as we can quest very hard, we should be able to win the scenario this turn without too much trouble.
Any cancellation in your hand? Because I'm worried about that damage to enemies thing. Or the, deal 2 damage to each exhausted character.
Yeah, all I can do is cancel shadow effects, which isn't too helpful. We could certainly, I guess since we don't have an active location that's dark, I'm pretty sure there are only 2 copies of that in the encounter deck, but if you hold back, anybody that would die from taking 2 damage, we should be fine. But really, I don't think we have to worry about it.
Well, I mean, Fallon and Biffer would die with 2. Biffer died with just 1.
Or, sorry, I meant just 1 damage. I'm 99% certain there are only 2 copies in the encounter deck. How about that?
Okay, wow. Alright.
Alright.
You know what? We also just surged 500 times the last turn. Though those are all gone, I'm sure.
Right.
So, yeah, okay.
Alright. So, who are you going to send to the quest?
Fallon.
All we've got to do is 12 progress.
I'll send Gimli and ready him. Well, I can make how much? Oh, just
12.
12. So that's 3, 4, 5. I'll send 6.
Alright, that's all you're going to send? Okay, so why don't I just send pretty much everybody? And already Dane here, so I'm going to do 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11... so you've sent 6, I'll send 11, for a total of 17. And let's go ahead and reveal. Card number 1 is... each enemy and location currently in the staging area gets +1 threat until the end of the phase. But of course, since there are none, that doesn't do anything. So, let's let that resolve. Card number 2 is... a Goblin Follower, which is going to engage the last player, which is you. So, at this point, we've gone ahead and committed 17 to the quest. We're up against 0 threat, so we're going to end up making 17 quest progress, and we have defeated the final stage and have therefore won the game. So, Matthew, any closing thoughts about our very first Khazad-dûm scenario here?
Well, in all fairness, this Goblin Follower would have gone to you.
Oh, that's right.
I am the first player.
I must be colorblind, apparently.
Right, no, it's all right. So, it's funny, I feel like when we don't take a quest all that seriously, we think it's going to be a piece of cake, it's when they end up being a lot more treacherous than they really are. There's a ton of damage on our heroes. I have very few characters left in play. A couple of your heroes and allies are not that far from death. The beginning was a little scary. They're raising our threat, 3 Doom 2 insurges in a row was sort of scary. Otherwise this quest, it's been a long time since I played this particular quest. And I'd say it's kind of boring. I hate to say that, but I can't, it feels a lot like a core set quest to me in many ways. I don't know if I'm just in a mood or whatever else, but enemies aren't all that exciting. The quest itself isn't all that exciting. It's just kind of humdrum.
Yeah, I guess we did that early on cancellation effect, so there was absolutely no risk of losing our heroes. We did have that one reveal of the treachery, which killed a bunch of allies and, put a ton of damage on the board. At some point, hopefully we'll end up seeing, maybe a leadership attachment that'll increase the hit points of dwarves. But overall, it was all right. We certainly didn't have to deal with any of the, an enemy attacks you and it adds another enemy to the staging area, like we're probably going to see in the 7th level. We definitely designed these decks trying to beat this scenario. It was convenient, holding on to those Longbeard Orc Slayers for as long as I wanted to, just to drop them into play and clean the board of enemies. So I think this was all right. It certainly wasn't that difficult. Cancellation effect here and something else there definitely took care of it. So hopefully we'll have a little bit more of a challenge during the rest of Khazad-dûm, but it also didn't feel like we were really rushing through this one. So maybe if we'd have gone a little bit faster, it would have been a little bit more challenging. But again, just in the interest of doing, one-shot, one-kill videos, taking our time with this one seems like it guaranteed a win. So anything else to say?
No, not a thing.
All right, well, then as always, thank you guys so much for joining us on yet another adventure in the Progression series. Next up is going to be yet another Khazad-dûm scenario, the 7th level. So if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button or subscribe to our channel if you have not done so already. Feel free to leave a comment below letting us know what your own experiences have been with Into the Pits, whether they've gone better than this, much quicker, or not gone as well. But with that said, thank you guys again, and we'll see you next time.